Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems, security systems for your home or office, life safety systems. That means nurse call systems to monitoring and annual testing for your business's fire and safety systems, which if you own a business, you have to do that. If you've got the fire alarms and fire systems, have to have them tested each year. Safety Systems can put in the fire alarms. They also do the annual testing. They can do it all. VFL JJ Surlis is the guy to call about Safety Systems. All right, kind of a quick segment here. Fans and shows like this are great about, okay, what's their final record going to be? And using the transitive properties. Well, if Tennessee beat Auburn and Auburn beat Kentucky, then Tennessee will beat Kentucky. And it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Just looking around last night, Georgia Tech, which fired its coach this week, beats Pitt, who was ranked 24th and only had the one overtime loss to Tennessee. Missouri, who, if you'd asked me last night, who's next worst to Vanderbilt in the league, I would have said Missouri. They almost beat number one Georgia. Auburn, who's down there with Missouri, almost beats LSU. I remember a Lou Holtz quote that a coach never sees the same team twice. And we all know the one game at a time cliche. Fans don't buy it. We in the media say it, but we tend to forget it because we have programming to do. Justin, you lived it. How true is it that you're talking about a range with a team? You don't expect, oh yeah, there'll be A every night. You get something different every week.
You do, and the biggest reason is because that team is made up of mostly 18 to 22-year-old young men. And if we all took our cell phones and entrusted 120 18 to 22-year-olds with our phone for a week, if we get our phone back, week to week, there's going to be a lot of different information and data that's on that phone based off of the moods that they're in. To me, the young men that play at the college level from the neck down are elite physical specimen. From the neck up, they're 18 to 22 years old. They have things that impact their lives. They have things that impact their psyche, their routine, their schedules, their norms, things back home that may not even be happening where they are that affect getting ready to play. And in the case of the SEC, every week you're playing against somebody on one side of the ball, probably both, that's going to hear their name called here in a few months to get to play in the NFL. They're good. You go down to LSU, and for the fans that go, you're going to look at LSU's players and say they've got dudes. It's not going to be. They're not struggling because they don't have the physical players down there. It's tough. You know, it's really, really difficult to have a team play with consistency week to week. We haven't even talked about injuries or rotating players in and out. It's really difficult to do the different kickoff times, night game, day game, Thursday game, Friday game, Saturday game, Monday game, whatever it may be throughout the week. A lot of factors play into it, and it's really difficult to establish a level of consistency week to week.
That has to be frustrating as a coach to know that, and then to have everyone outside of that not appreciate it. I mean, you're dealing with media. We're never going to appreciate that. We're not going to accept that. Fans certainly aren't going to accept that. You beat so-and-so last week. How do you show up and look like that this week? That has to be frustrating, doesn't it?
Very much so. It very much is. And I think as coaches, you strive for that level of consistency, for the highest level of consistency that you can achieve. And along the way, there are good days, moments that give you the hope that can happen. And then there are days that are not so good where you feel like maybe we've set the bar too high or we'll never reach that. It's very frustrating. The fan expectation, I think we as coaches get that. I mean, that comes with the territory. And I think the thing that fans should understand is we want that level of consistency as bad or worse than you do.
But it's like the other guy said, the other team has players on scholarship too. I mean, sometimes, it seems like some people forget that. And it's tough to go on the road and win some of these games too. You're talking about, the range. What's Kirby Smart hearing this week, guys, about Georgia? I mean, and they came back and struggled, but they win the game.
Didn't look good against Kent State the week before.
Exactly.
And yet they're looking at it. We look at it and think this was an ugly. There were a lot of people who were upset about Tennessee's win over Florida last week.
Which is ridiculous.
If you were a coach, Justin, if you're a coach, you're not, you may be saying, well, we need to shore this up and that up. You're celebrating that win, period, are you not?
Absolutely. Absolutely you are. The 24-hour rule, that does exist, but the wins are so hard to come by when you get one, no matter how it looks. Like, I used to think these coaches dancing in the locker room was a little bit extra, but I get it. They're hard to get. You've got to celebrate them. You've got to come in the next day or on Monday, however you do your schedule, and you've got to get those things fixed, because the next opponent's looking at your weaknesses or looking at things that caused issues for you. You've got to get those fixed if you want to keep experiencing that feeling. But when you get that feeling, when the fourth quarter ends and you have more points, then I don't care who it is, celebrate. And celebrate until whatever time the clock says we got to move on tomorrow or the next day to the next opponent.
To the next one-game season.
Exactly.
Justin Hamilton, thank you very much for coming in here and joining us today. Appreciated your insights and your loquaciousness. Thank you very much, and hope to see you on the sideline soon. If not, I'll clear Chuck out of here and we'll get to the podium real soon. Thank you very much.
job.
Hey, when we come back, let's take a look around the SEC, some of the biggest surprises so far that we've seen. Where is Tennessee and all that? We'll talk about the coaching advantage between Brian Kelly and Josh Heupel coming up. We'll talk about the keys to Tennessee LSU coming up. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Away from home? Watch the Sports Source live at WATE.com.